You didn't really think I was not going to make this kind of a video, did you? How long have you subscribed to me? You know that this video was coming. Now look, do I think he's bold in his words? Yes, I think Scott Adams is bold in his words. Scott Adams is the cartoonist for Dilbert. Just like, you know, to me, I rank him up there with Charles Schultz, who did Peanuts, Jim Davis, who did Garfield. Garfield is now owned by Nickelodeon. Peanuts, I don't know who owns the Peanuts anymore. It used to be Blue Sky. Oh, Apple. Apple owns the Peanuts. Very strange. Scott Adams, please do not sell your work, or at least sell it to Joey Diaz. Maybe Joey Diaz could do something with it. But anyway, I still think the comic strips are funny. My dad seemed to like some of them. He only read a couple of them once in his life before he passed away. Honestly, I don't care about any of this, but this came to my attention by Paul Joseph Watson. Now, Paul Joseph Watson is not extreme right, but he's very right wing. Okay, I just don't give a shit. I take from the left, I take from the right, I go up, I go down, I go all around. You know how the fuck I think. If I smell bullshit coming from anybody, that is the you see me? Can you see me? You see the side? That's the side I'm taking. If you could see me of whose side I'm taking to answer your question is answered. Now, I think it's true that if black people do not want to be white, they don't have to live near white. I've been to South LA. I volunteered in South Los Angeles. I dated somebody in South Los Angeles. There was a black woman, but she wasn't very pretty. I've lived in East Los Angeles, a Mexican community, Mexican, Cuban, El Salvadorian, whatever, for 45 years. It's not a nice area. Now, I'm going to say something weird. I think I'd be better off in a large Asian community because Asians, you never see Asians on Cops. You watch Cops, right? Dun, 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 bad boys, bad boys. You see that and you think, okay, who's going to jail? It's either people like me, white dudes, or black dudes. I guarantee you, one of the three food groups is running from the cops in every episode of on every episode of Cops. So you never really see Asians get arrested. So I like the Asian communities. They keep us humble. They keep us from getting too big for each other. I was just thinking about how in Monterey Park they have to have Latin letters so that when you call 911 you're not reading Mandarin. And yeah, there was a shooting in Monterey Park. I talked about this on Twitter. It's like I know the place to be very humble in the daytime. I don't go out at night. And honestly, like, if Mexicans don't want to be white, but we're part white, right? And there are some black people that are part white. Obama is half white. But the truth is, whether it's a black neighborhood like Carson or Compton or South LA or Harlem, whether it's East Los Angeles or Maywood for Latinos or white communities, there's always something. I saw trailer parks for white people, not the smartest people on the planet, okay? There are some dumb white people. There are some dumb black people. There's some dumb Mexicans, okay? You try, I think I all told you about Universal Studios. I worked at Universal Studios for 9 months, okay? And there are a lot of, except for that one black dude that had that weird kind of mental disability and he couldn't do his job properly, everybody, no matter what they looked like, no matter who they were dating, whether they're heterosexual, homosexual, pansexual, whether they were young or old, black, white, brown, Asian, red, green, it didn't matter. I got along with people on a civil basis. I didn't have any real friends, but that's just a me thing versus everyone else. You know, my problem is I can't get along with most people, okay? So you all knew I was going to make this video when I see even Nerdette News. I'm not sure she took it down, but Nerdette News even hated Scott Adams. I was going to say something like, Nerdette, you don't even know what's going on. You don't even know what's going on. You have preconceived notions and premonitions and prejudices, and you want the news to confirm this. You need to go in with a blank slate. Go in with a blank slate, do the research. If you do those two things, No news will ever gaslight you ever again. Ever. This I promise you. No prejudices. Do the research. And you will know whether or not Scott Adams is a monster, moonlighting with a sheet over his head, or the guy just speaks his mind. The man was on Joe Rogan. Most of the Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn inner circle is not extreme one way or the other. Very rarely does this happen. I mean, Joe Rogan had a murderer or a potential murderer that mutilated his wife. That was about as bad as it got. But aside from that, when I worked at Universal, I saw mostly good black people. People who were just, some of them were just assholes and were just like, they didn't like me talking when they were talking about something, and I just interjected because I wanted to be part of the group. This Mexican. And it wasn't a black group. It was like one black dude and different colors of people. I think the only black people I never got along with was the one in Gardena. I don't know why. I can't tell you. And these weren't gangbangers. These weren't Panthers. These were City Hall. It's like they had this arrogance against anybody not black. It's like hate goes both ways. If you hate Mexicans, any black person that hates Mexicans, just like Scott Adams, I'm going to tell you, you can go fuck off right now. This is not violating community guidelines. YouTube, Twitter. I defend Scott Adams. Until he does something horrific, I defend Scott Adams. I follow him now on Twitter. I said I would post a YouTube video. I kept my promise. This needed to happen. I had to. It's a freezer, in case you can't tell. My problem isn't race. It's keeping warm because it is fucking cold in this fucking house. And I haven't been able to do much of my art. And I haven't had many views for my last 2 videos. So what am I going to do? But if you all thought I was going to be against Scott Adams, you haven't been following me for very long, have you? If you've been following me since before 2020 or around that time, then you should know what I'm going to say. You should know what I was going to tell you. When you take the red line home or late at night, you try not to be a racist. You know what I'm talking about for those of you who live in Los Angeles or Hollywood and you take the Metro red line after midnight. Just saying what color of person you see acts stupid. Now, when you see people, they're sitting down, they're reading their book, they're looking at their tablet, their phone, they're writing stuff, they're acting civilized. Anybody who's like that is cool with me. But when you got all kinds of people doing weird shit, raise your hand if you think I'm lying. You go on that red line, you see that. You see vendors on the blue line. Socks today, socks today. You got socks today, socks today. You know what's going on. That's the only real problem, okay? That's it. Because when you have to evaluate everything, the people that matter the most are the people who get along with me. The people who want to talk to me and want to get to know me as a person, whether that's Nerdette, whether that's Tony from the Geek Getaway, whether that's anybody. Okay? I'm putting the shout out in the description. I'm going to put the link to Paul Joseph's video. I'm going to show you exactly what Scott Adams said because it was Paul Joseph Watson who pointed me to this problem. And I said, okay, I see how people misinterpreted this. Now he's being canceled. That's bullshit. Fucking bullshit. I followed Dilbert since the 90s. I followed Garfield since the 80s. This is ridiculous, and it needs to stop. If you want us to be better people, stop letting the news, stop letting Twitter news, Facebook news tell you what's going on. Go and do the fucking research, because let me tell you what's going to happen when you keep doing that. Somebody's going to say something nasty about you. People are trying to say nasty things about me. I remember in high school, I was stuffed in a locker. That was bullshit. When somebody spreads rumors or half-truths, they're going to do it to your family and friends. And then the joke is not funny anymore. Because now you have to deal with it. This was something to me, but it's also nothing but bullshit.